I knew you were going to do that, Manny. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you guys are listening to this and whenever you guys are watching this. We finally here where the show, I'm not going to say matters finally, but when the show gets a little bit more in depth, a little bit more specific, simply put, ladies and gentlemen, welcome for week 1 to the Next Up Fantasy Show. It's your boy Will, and there's just a lot of excitement everywhere, and we just can't hide it because we're finally here at the first week of the NFL season. Last night, the first game actually went down, and Manny's background just is a general representation of what happened to it. There's some guy on his over his shoulder just celebrating the game as far as what happened, Super Bowl bound. But let's go ahead and actually talk to both of you guys just to see how you just generally feeling. Let's actually go to Mr. Detroit What over there. Manny being Manny, what's good? How you doing today?
Hey, Will. Hey, Mike. I'm bringing you guys here to Detroit. You know, being the Michigan correspondent here, I thought let's take the streets of Detroit, Michigan, and see how they're reacting over their win against the Kansas City Chiefs. Here over my shoulder right here is Marshall Mathers. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he is running wild. Last seen, he took off all his sweater and his pants, and he's running down the 8 Mile right now, butt naked. A lot of cars have been flipped. It's right. Crazy. It's like we won the Super Bowl over here. I don't know how you guys feel over in the West Coast, but over here, it's been a riot. Back to you, Will.
Thanks, Manny, for those hard-hitting news. And that's what we do here at Next Up Fantasy. Anyone else do that? No. Nope. So my man over here, Mike T, good evening. How you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm doing great, man. Let me second that by saying the West Coast, we can feel those vibrations coming all the way from Detroit, the flip cars and everything.
Yes, sir.
That was impressive, and I'm happy for them because the Chiefs, they've had a good run, and I hope that their time is over, honestly. But yeah, man, as you can see, this is week 1. We've upgraded for you guys. I mean, we have backgrounds and all kind of crazy stuff going down. So wait till you guys see what else we have in store for you this season. It should be fun. Let's do it.
No doubt it's going to be such a good time. And simply, yeah, I'm kind of speechless about all this, but it's going to be a fun show. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about a little bit more in depth as far as our thoughts about last night's game. And there's going to be a couple more things that we have to talk about. So let's just get into it. Let's go ahead and talk about the news and notes here. First things first, we can talk about last night's game that's being played over here behind my shoulder here. There's a couple of how can I put this? There's a couple of fantasy football owners that are a little disappointed about how this game fully went, not only because of Travis Kelce being injured and not playing in the game at all, but also for 2 other reasons. One, the play of Isaiah Pacheco, and 2, the play of Jahmyr Gibbs. And kind of what I posted earlier today on our Instagram page, simply, well, first things first, go ahead and follow us.
Jeez.
Next Up Fantasy. Plug. So as far as what ended up happening, like my theory was always going to be that both of the running backs in Detroit were going to get run, no pun intended. Like David Montgomery is going to be the bruiser and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the pass catcher. I think a lot of people or fantasy owners had a higher expectation of right out the gate for Jahmyr Gibbs, but like I think it was more so of a case of let him marinate a little bit more in the professional level before we see him get like super hyped up and things like that. So my general thought was it's going to happen for Gibbs, but it's not going to be at this very moment, which makes more sense with Montgomery having, I think, 70% of the snap, like 70% of the running back snaps. Like he had a pretty decent amount, but I expect that to go a little bit lower as the season goes on. And the champions didn't do so well without Kelce. And if Manny, is this the game without Kelsey for Patrick Mahomes?
I think you're right. It might be. I haven't seen I know it's vice versa. I know Travis Kelsey played without Patrick Mahomes, but I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if he's had without Travis Kelsey.
I might have read that somewhere, but I'm not 100 as far as that. That's why I was double checking with you. But yeah, the fact that they had I think they said 11 different receivers, different pass catchers for this entire game. It also makes everyone a little bit scared. They're scared of Kadarius Toney not doing well, Sky Moore not doing well. Rashid Rice did well. He got his targets. Gray, who was the backup tight end, he was okay, but there was better. I mean, Sam Laporta, I think, did better. He was in the same game. But generally, let's go ahead and go to Manny first. Now, generally, as far as the game as a whole, Mr. Detroit, Mr. Have everyone texting you about the game.
I hate Lions fans now.
But what was your general thoughts about the game, and is there anything that the Chiefs should be worried about in the future when it comes to their players and such?
No, so if you got Travis Kelsey, you should actually be happy with this game because they need Travis Kelsey, and the usage of Travis Kelsey is going to be crazy when he comes back. So what I'm thinking is if you find a Travis Kelsey owner that's kind of irritated, blah, 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 maybe Travis Kelsey misses next week, go get him. Go get Travis Kelsey. You'll be okay. This is also, I know you brought up the two running backs, but Sky Moore was kind of a disappointment as well. And this is why. Here's a little a fun tip. And I'm kind of showing my my fantasy, kind of my research that I do. And
go ahead,
I don't know if I want to show it, but okay. Here's what I use.
Okay.
I look at this. You got so so I use the PFF, and this shows your receiving summary. Look at this. Noah Gray, percent of team pass plays. He's in 82% of the plays. Guess who's filling that role? Travis Kelsey. But Will, you're saying what? There's 10 wide receivers that were used.
Yeah.
This is kind of where you could break down to see, okay, who's in most of these possessions. MVS was in 73 of the pass plays, and Sky Moore was in 64. Sky Moore didn't get a catch, so he's running but not doing much, So I like to look at this kind of data. You also have the pass plays with Jarrett McKinnon. You see he's up there, and it's not Clyde Edwards. It's not Isaiah Pacheco. So when you're looking at if you're in a PPR league and you're looking for a running back, this is kind of what I look at. Same goes with the Lions. Amon-Ra, 100%. Josh Reynolds, 80. Marvin Jones was 58. So we know that Josh Reynolds, it seems like, and as you could tell if you watch the game, seems like the second wide receiver there. Before the game, you really didn't know. David Montgomery, look at that. That's big right here. Because you said catchback. David Montgomery was in 55% of the pass plays. Jamar Gibbs, 25. My thing with these two is I think David Montgomery is a better blocker on pass plays. So they put him in for pass plays. I just feel like Jahmyr Gibbs isn't as great of a blocker. He's more on that side where they're down and he's going to get the ball. So hopefully that's not the case going forward for your Jamar Gibbs owners. And if you think you want Jamar Gibbs, you might find some owners that are pretty upset that you could go trade for Gibbs right now.
So with all this being said, first of all, David Montgomery was actually a decent pass catcher as well when he was in Chicago. He wasn't terrible, but that's not what he was built for. And you're right. Jahmyr Gibbs is not going to be a bruiser like Montgomery. He's too small for that. And generally speaking, what was that?
You could see right here. Look at no targets. So
right.
He's in the majority of the pass plays. He's not getting the ball. So your assumption is he's probably blocking.
Right.
So
He's a big guy. Like Gibbs is not going to block.
Yep.
So that being said, like, do you have any kind of concern when it comes to Montgomery versus Gibbs? And do you see Gibbs flying out? Let's go and get back. Do you see Gibbs as a person that's going to be worth his third round status as far as being picked up?
So the Detroit Lions fans were upset with DeAndre Swift because he had the similar role with Jamal Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell likes his guys. David Montgomery is a vet. He knows what he's doing. He does the fundamentals right. If you look, Gibbs is really talented, but he misses some of like the holes. There are some holes that he missed that he would have easily scored a touchdown.
Right.
I think he's just young. He has to learn the NFL kind of ways, right? And Montgomery already has that. So that's what kind of scares me. By the end of the season, Gibbs probably will be like getting closer and closer to the David Montgomery shares. But if David Montgomery's healthy, why switch a formula that you won with?
Why break something that's already fixed? I get it.
Yep.
Mike, generally your thoughts about this game. Like do you see any problems coming ahead for Kansas City? Is Detroit, with them beating Kansas City, is Detroit who they showed that they were yesterday?
Okay. No, I really don't. I'm not the type of person that really overreacts over the first game. In no way do I think Detroit's a better team than Kansas City, but it's the first game. And in the first game, a lot of things can happen. Kansas City, as you said, they're running out there without Travis Kelce. He's pretty much their top option on offense. We all know that. He masks a lot of deficiencies that they've had with the wide receiver position. The wide receivers that they have, they're okay, but they're young. And to be thrust out there and to be depended on to do what they were being dependent on to do yesterday just wasn't their forte. Some of those passes, I believe later on in the year, Kadarius Toney will catch. He had a bad night, but that pick six was pretty much one of those just unlucky plays that as Dallas Cowboy fans have come to see and know all too well. But that kind of stuff just happens. It just happens, and it was Detroit's time, and Detroit played a pretty good game, and they only won by 1 point, right? So, so wasn't it 21-20 or something like that?
Right.
So I do think that Detroit will be a better team than they were last year, but I'm not ready to jump off the Kansas City bandwagon just yet. I don't think Kansas City should have went for it on 4th and 25. They should have punted that and tried to get the ball back.
The Chiefs lost to the Colts last year. I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah, it's the NFL. Anybody can literally beat anybody on any week. We don't always see it, but it's possible,
Right, of course.
And then with the Jamar Gibbs thing, like I'm kind of the opposite. Not saying that Manny's wrong, but actually we're not completely opposite because what he said at the end is how I feel. Also, I do feel that by the end of the year, Jahmyr Gibbs will take over. I feel he's the more talented back. Mm-hmm. Even the limited touches he had yesterday, he seemed more electric when he was in the game. You can see he has a shiftiness and a kind of speed that David Montgomery doesn't really have. But like Manny said, Dan Campbell's an old school kind of coach. He's going to ease Gibbs in. And then when they feel like they can trust Gibbs and they can rely on him, I think they'll unleash him. So I wouldn't give up on him either. But like Manny said, if you're a manager and you're in a league with somebody who's lost faith in Gibbs and you feel like you can get him, I think he'd be a good player to go get because I do think he'll be a real big player down the stretch, maybe even be really beneficial in fantasy playoffs.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of players that we drafted in the first round or first couple of rounds during the draft season that is not going to get it done right away. Mm-hmm. So fantasy owners, just chill. It's just week 1. Everything's going to be all right. Now, when we get to around week 7 or 8, and if they're still acting that way, then we're going to talk a bit. You see, touchdowns are going to happen for Kansas City. So give it time. Just give it a little bit of time. That's all that's being asked for, not just Kansas City, but for anybody in the league.
Well, Chris Jones wasn't there either. Their best defensive tackle.
That's also true.
True.
I think I heard a stat from this game yesterday that I think 60% of the defense is first and second year players.
Yep.
That's insane. That's crazy for not only for a defending champ, but like if they don't have a Chris Jones there as a veteran leader, as good as he is, then like No,
all I
tell,
know
no,
is
tell me what can happen.
go get Travis Kelce is what we're saying, because it's going to be high scoring games. The defense can't stop much. I mean, they did only limit the Lions to 14 points because of the pick six, really. But yeah, I don't know. I think you can't take anything away from this game. I don't think the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl, and I don't think the Chiefs are going to come in fourth place in their division. I think it's all going to even out. I just think with injuries, Lions came to play. Kansas City seemed like they didn't come to play.
So pretty much after all the hard-hitting news that you just did at the beginning of the episode, where Marshall is saying Detroit, what you don't feel that Detroit is
no. I was just the reporter in Detroit.
Okay,
reporting on the news since I was the closest.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
and even with the Pacheco thing, like he did what I expect Isaiah Pacheco to do. Like he's not the kind of back who's going to always have a big game. He might pop every now and then, but it's going to depend on the game script. And it wasn't a night. He's not somebody you can plug in and think, oh, he's going to get me double-digit points every week. He's not that kind of player.
Like, honestly, during the draft season, I was actually concerned about Pacheco, to be honest. Like,
he was going way too high.
Yeah. Like, probably the earliest I've seen it was fifth, which is kind of high, and probably the average is like seventh. And to the latest I've probably seen is like 10th. But, like, still in the seventh round with still having McKinnon there, and even Clyde Edwards-Helaire still being there, his presence there, they're still like Pacheco is still not 100% the guy that we're gonna trust. He's just on a team. He's just a running back that's on a really good team that scores a lot. That's it. He doesn't have enough volume for me is pretty much my bottom line. So that's kind of why I was away from him. But we'll go ahead and go from one team that scores a lot to a team that's probably not going to score that much. We're going to talk about another injury by the name of Cooper Kupp. So Cooper Kupp officially out, went to a specialist for his hamstring. Now, when you know that they go to a specialist, that means that it's a little bit more serious than what it should be. And this is just not a hammy. The Rams don't really have, we talked about this on the NFC West show, but the Rams don't really have anybody outside of Cooper Kupp. We also did talk about Tyler Higbee during that show, and Higbee, like to the moon right now. Everyone, if they try to pick him up, likely he's not there anymore, but he was there on all the waiver wires available. But Higbee has a shot of getting a decent amount of targets in plays or whatnot. But then again, there's players like Van Jefferson, who we know he's okay, but he doesn't play the same wide receiver role as Cooper Kupp. There's Tutu Atwell. Don't know too much about him. Don't know enough about him. And then there's probably the darling that everyone is talking about right now, Puka Nacua. And I think he was a fifth rounder. I just don't know from where, but simply everyone is picking him up right now as far as being the next guy up and taking over Cooper Kupp's position. But again, this is still the Rams, and there's just some concern that I have as far as them scoring at all. Mike, we'll go ahead and go to you first. Like, what jumps out immediately when you think of the Cooper Kupp injury?
Yeah, when I think of the Cooper Kupp injury, it's just unfortunate because he's a really talented player, and the Rams have lost so much on their defense that they really needed all their offensive pieces to be back and to be healthy. So the fact that he's not going to be healthy, the fact that we're starting the season with Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell, it's disappointing. Like I said, I live out here in Southern California, close to LA, so I know a lot of Ram fans were disappointed, and I know a lot of people who invested in Cooper Kupp. I didn't. I know a lot of people who did in drafts, picking him in the second round. Some were even willing and bold enough to pick him in the first, which I definitely wouldn't have done. But that's real. But yeah, it's tough. It's always tough when a talented player isn't available, and they're gonna have to find a way to get through that. Hopefully, Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua. I think he's from BYU, though. I could be wrong, but I'm like a college football nerd, so I think he's from BYU. If I'm wrong, somebody please let me know in the comments. Definitely. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and I think they're gonna have to put a lot on the back of Cam Akers and on the arm of Matthew Stafford, but we just don't know who he's throwing to other than Tyler Higbee.
So quick shout out. Yes, he is from BYU, and he also played at Washington.
Okay.
And I actually just read a quick barb that Puka is actually going to be the number 3 receiver in this for week 1 without Cooper Kupp. So Tutu Atwell, I guess, is going number 2. I don't know, but let's just see how all that goes. Manny, I believe there was like a small barb that you wanted to talk about when it came to the Rams in general, that had to do with our league, and I want to apologize in advance. We did do a draft show, but that show, not only was it nearly 2 hours long, but this software here actually made it difficult for me to actually load all of that on there. So unfortunately, I'll try to cut it down. I actually did try to cut it down to about like an hour, but it just didn't, like, fluidity wise, it didn't make sense. So I'm gonna try my best as far as getting that, but it's probably technically irrelevant right now since the week has already started. But Mike, I'm going to ask Manny some questions, and I'm going to make sure that I'm pointing at the right people. But so Manny, you had a barb that you wanted to talk about in our league in regards to a certain Ram player. So I'm giving you the floor. All eyes are on you right now. Say what you got to say.
All right. So I want to. It's in our league, right? I want to give a shout out to a guy in our league because, let me see, is it Scott's Reapers, Mr. Scott?
Scott Reapers, let's go.
AKA Mike's brother-in-law. I just want to ask you a question because I know you watched the show. Why did you drop Cam Akers? That was baffling for me when you have Brian Scott starting or Boston Scott starting. I'm trying to just get in the mind of Scott right now because I don't know why you did that. You gave someone Cam Akers for free. So I'm a little salty about it. But I do want to say, though, with the tight end position, Tyler Higbee. Oh, I'll bring up another stat in our league. I'm playing Dre, Blue Stars. I don't know if he listens, but he had Cooper Kupp.
He does.
I'm pretty pumped that you don't have Cooper Kupp this week because guess who you're playing? This guy. So good luck. Good luck is all I'm going to say because I'm projected to win. So, all right, well, let's get into the tight end position. The tight end position, the Seahawks feed points to the tight end. And this is why Tyler Higbee is a start if he's on your waiver wire. Go pick him up. Seahawks cannot defend the tight end for some reason. And guess what? Matt Stafford doesn't have a wide receiver. So he's going to target Higbee. If you're in a PPR, Tyler Higbee is going to get at least 5 catches, 6 catches. That's 6 points. Tight ends don't give you 6 points. So pick him up now. And that's all I have.
And that is the barb from.
Yeah, don't play. I don't like Van Jefferson. I don't like I mean, if you're in a squeeze, maybe if you're Mr. Dre that lost Cooper Kupp, you might need Van Jefferson. Go ahead and pick him up. I know you picked up Higbee because he's on your bench because I tried already.
I'm
going to shit talk this whole league. I'm sorry. Mike Lewis is next.
As you should. They're big boys that can take it.
Yeah. I'm going to get beat up.
I mean, he could Dre could probably fly out to Detroit and probably do that. He probably wouldn't want that.
Oh, speaking of that, this has nothing to do with anything. I don't know how close
we're going to be.
Ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry. It just hit me when you said that. Dre flying to Detroit. Hey, I don't know how close this is to you, but I'm going to be at that Michigan-Ohio State game this year. And so if that's anywhere near you, we have to link up. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's at the Shoe?
No, it's in Big House.
I'm only 40 minutes away.
Oh, yeah. We're linking up.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll wear Ohio State and piss off some Michigan fans.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
The love here, love it. But yeah, like, see, you made me forget my point. I was actually about to say something, but now I can't remember.
No, because he was saying Dre. So and Dre will be there too. He's a Michigan fan, so we'll have to definitely give him a hard time, man.
I'm definitely beating him this week.
Dre. Oh, I was just gonna generally say to Scott. First of all, you're the brother-in-law of Mike. I'm practically Mike's brother, so we're family too. But
Scott,
I'm gonna need you and I'm gonna need Dre to reply down here onto the comment section, and don't let this man.
hold on. I'm gonna see who he dropped him for.
Don't let Manny punk y'all. That's what he's pretty much saying.
That's what I'm trying to say here. So,
Scott dropped Laporta.
I like Laporta this week.
Yeah, he's making some bold moves. I mean, it's either he's going to be a genius, or at the end of the year we're going to be like,
that's what fantasy football is about. You're either going to be a genius or you're going to be an idiot.
Yeah.
But one way or another, Scott, Dre, I need y'all to say a little something. I need y'all to.
You have Boston Scott. Is it just because his last name? Scott, keep Cam Akers.
I'm gonna mute your mic for a second.
I'm looking at his team.
Don't do that to Scott, man. He's probably a good guy. He's probably the coolest guy in the world. And
I know. I was gonna pick him up and then trade Cam Akers to him.
That would have been hilarious. Actually,
that would be great. Actually, I actually you showed your card, so there you go. I actually would have loved to see that, but yeah. So yeah,
we're definitely, as you know, we're definitely gonna, since we're all in a league together, we're definitely gonna pinpoint that league and throughout this no one's safe
throughout the podcast. Not literally everybody, but like we're gonna.
Oh no, Mike Lewis could get it too.
We're gonna talk about everything here and there about our league. So it's gonna be a combination of just our league and just stuff in general.
So our league you didn't post the draft.
I didn't. No.
All right. So here's something for the comments. The comment section. We get some, engagement here. Me and Mike Lewis, after the draft, did a trade. I traded away Josh Allen to receive James Cook and Justin Fields. So that was the first trade in our league. Mm-hmm. Tell me who won that trade. And you could clip that, Will.
And you can clip that, Will.
Yep. Will's our intern and the producer and the host. We're just, me and Mike are just here. We're the talent.
Yeah. We just show up.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's what you guys do. Anyway, lazy bums. Anyway,
you love us.
Between the two or between that trade, I would have to look at Mike's team one more time. But
I gave him a stat. I gave him Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen.
I understand Mike. I understand Mike Lou's thought process because he had too many people for week 13 to still be on there, or as far as like giving away or whatnot. But like my thought process at the same time was, it's week 13. There's time, and it's only week 1. Yep. So he could have had plenty of time to pick up somebody from a waiver wire for just 1 week for the multiple positions that it would have been in, which would have been the quarterback, which would have been quarterback. One of the James Cook, I think he was actually only had him as a flex. So it would, like, to me, honestly, I'll be real. I think it's a decent trade, but it would have been a trade I would have done.
I think
I'm not going to say who won. I'm just going to say it would have been it's a good trade in theory.
Yeah, how I see it is I don't see much of a difference from Justin Fields to Josh Allen. They're both going to put up points. I don't see,
Mike, what are your thoughts
on the trade? I actually I like Josh Allen, but to get Justin Fields and Cooks for Josh Allen, I like better, because you're also getting Justin I mean, not of course you're getting Justin Fields, but you're also getting Cook, who I think is going to be a really good player or a decent player for them. So I think Manny won the trade in my opinion, but that's not saying that Mike made a bad trade because we're all going to find out at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah, no, he's got Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen stack, which is probably the best stack. So if you're playing them this like a week where they go off for like a couple touchdowns together, you're pretty much done.
Yeah.
I just see Justin Fields. I need running back depth a little bit more. So if I could squeeze a running back, a starter that's going to be playing on top of getting a quarterback that I don't think is Josh Allen might score here or there more, but I don't think Fields is that far behind with his rushing abilities. I'm like, I need to do it. And I also got a stack too. I know it's not as good as Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, but I have DJ Moore. So I have Justin Fields, DJ Moore stack.
Well, let's see how everything runs. Overall, when it's all said and done, in about a couple of weeks, we'll come back to this, and I'll clip that too. Now, as far as what we're doing for the future, there's one. Oh, there goes that interception. Anyway, so
that's if that's a Dak, that's on Dak. The whole announcers were saying that's on the receivers. Dak Prescott, if that was Dak Prescott, it's on him. That's what ticks me off about media.
He ain't lying.
Sorry, I got angered.
You a little bit.
I was angry.
You got triggered. I see. So
because it happens all the time. Dak will throw it, and CeeDee Lamb would do something like that, and it's on Dak.
But it's because of it being poster boy Patrick Mahomes. It's because of Kadarius Toney. And
Josh Allen throws as many picks as Dak Prescott, but no one wants to talk about that. Sorry,
I talk about it. Josh Allen does a lot of picks, and he's a turnover machine.
I'm triggered.
But let's see if it goes a little bit less this year for him. But just wanted to do like a quick announcement moving forward. Me and Mike talked about it a little bit before the show started, and it was something that we were talking about before anyway. Starting this weekend and every Sunday morning, myself and Mike are going to be doing I guess you can call it like a live show once the who's playing and who's not playing comes out. So we'll be starting that show about 15 minutes before that list actually goes out. It's going to be an opportunity for us to have like an idea of if you need to pick up somebody real quick or if there's anybody that you guys had questions about and things like that. So it's also a start and sit question or a start and sit show for the remainder of the hour. So it's going to be approximately like 45 minutes and we're going to be doing it live. So if you guys have any questions or any inquiries as far as your team, as far as who to start, who to sit, want to talk to us a little bit in regards to the injury report, if you got something to say back to Manny because of the fact of all this shit that he just said to you guys right now, then by all means, come on to the show. We're here for it. It should be an interesting and fun show.
I'm down to have 15 minutes, have one of these guys like once a week, have 15 minutes of these guys coming in and just speaking their mind about the league.
Well, the catch to that is, like, with all the mess that you're talking, you better make sure that you back it up. That's all I'm saying.
If they talk crap, I can take it. I don't care.
That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun. Yeah, that would be dope. I mean, I know Will has offered the invitation to just about everybody in there.
Right.
We have
they don't have to go the whole show. They just come in for 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah. So that would be really cool. And like you said, it'd be kind of a cool little ongoing thing or element that we could add to the show. That would be really, really cool. Because, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, somebody's going to win the league, and I want to have the winner come on and definitely, just talk the shit for at least 10 minutes or so.
I mean, I'm already on the show, so I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, okay, this guy.
I'm just saying, the back-to-back starts this weekend. I'm just saying.
Mike, you're playing me this week.
I was going to say, who am I playing this week?
Playing me. And you are projected to win. I had Jahmyr Gibbs in yesterday, and you had Montgomery in, and Montgomery had the better game. But it's okay. I like the rest of my squad. I think that
if it was this time in about 6 weeks, then it'll probably be a different story because we already talked about it. Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be fine. So yeah. I'm not really too concerned about.
You don't want to trade Jahmyr Gibbs?
Not yet. But see, I'm going to get my points back from your Watson Burrow matchup because I don't think Watson's going to do all that, and I think Burrow's going to eat. So I'm going to get all those points back and some more.
That's gonna be fun. I'm gonna love that game.
Yeah.
So moving on. We're gonna try our best to, like last year we went over like a lot, so we're gonna try to make it a little bit quick this year in time.
He's reeling us in.
Hey.
We need to be reeled in sometimes, so go for it, man.
I mean, that's all of us. But anyway, so we're just gonna get to the simple point of for this year. We already talked about with the divisions as far as who we think is going to win the divisions. But unlike last year, we didn't talk about who's going to go to the Super Bowl and who's going to be the MVP and things like that. So this is the time where we actually do it right here, right now. So if no one wants to go first, I think I'm going to go first because I kind of have an idea as far as what's going to happen or what I feel is going to happen this year. So the AFC is going to be the toughest conference out of the two. There's way too many good people over there. But I think this year I'm going to pick Baltimore Ravens playing against, who am I kidding? San Francisco 49ers. That Super Bowl is going to happen again, but the ending is going to be different. 49ers, let's go. That's my prediction.
Not mad at it. Not mad at it.
Mr. shaking his head so much. Manny being Manny. Who do you got?
All I know is I'm just like, can you bring yourself back up? Because I got a question for you about Brock Purdy.
This guy. All right.
I know he went on an 8-game win streak, but can you name the teams that he won against in his 8-game win streak?
Besides, during the season.
Do you know what week he came in?
Actually, I have a better answer for that. Who cares?
I mean,
why does it matter? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue. There's a point you're going to make, but go ahead.
This is his first big test. Is the Steelers defense?
Okay.
I think I know he beat the Cowboys. We always lose the 49ers, so there's that. But the Steelers, I think he's going to test them. I don't know. This is going to be a big. This game will determine your guys' season, I think.
Okay.
Because you got rid of Trey Lance because you're a believer in Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at Brock Purdy, who he's beat, it wasn't that great. It's kind of like how I brought up the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of schedule at the end of the year where they went on a little run. But I guess I need to reel it back in. Super Bowl predictions. I have Bengals. I think the Bengals are gonna. This is Joe Burrow's contract year. If it's not this year, usually the quarterbacks that win on their rookie contract or like their first contract. This is Joe Burrow's big contract so he better win, meaning that he signed his contract. He's the highest paid NFL player ever. I don't know if you guys caught that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Joe Burrow I think will be able to kind of take it. That's just a random guess, but I don't want to say the Eagles, so I'm going to say the Cowboys. Just like you, I'm going to do a home pick.
I don't want to say the Eagles.
Bengals versus Cowboys.
That's crazy.
So who takes it out of those two?
Who you think? The Cowboys.
Just say it. Jeez.
You think if Cowboys make the Super Bowl, you think I'm not going to pick the Cowboys? If I'm going to go that delusional, I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win.
Fair.
I can't be mad at it.
Mike, who do you got?
It's crazy because you're not gonna believe it, but I had the exact same Super Bowl, man. You guys know how I feel about Burrow and how I feel about Dak. But I'm gonna switch it up because I want to be that guy who, comes with the same back-to-back prediction as Manny. Manny, he got me.
Why you opened your eyes so big when I said Bengals?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this guy's actually. You knew I was gonna be the Cowboys. You knew I was gonna be the Cowboys, but once you pick the Bengals, I'm just gonna be the same. but if I wasn't gonna be to go that route. If I had to pick two alternates who I think will be in the Super Bowl, who I really don't think will be, but I'm going to just do that to be different, I would probably go with – let me go with Let me go Buffalo.
Okay.
Buffalo, I picked them last year, but I think this year they shouldn't have as many obstacles to face. And I feel like this kind of like the same thing you said about Burrow. I feel like if Josh Allen doesn't get it done this year, he's not getting it done. So give me Josh Allen, give me Buffalo, and in the NFC, if it's not going to be the Cowboys, who I think it will be, I do think it will be the Cowboys. But if it will not be the Cowboys, go ahead and give me. Yeah, then I guess I would go with Will's team. I would go with the Niners, and you'd have that Chris Berman dream matchup of Buffalo and San Francisco. Anybody who was watching ESPN in the early 90s knows what I'm talking about.
Yes,
Used to make that every single year.
How do you feel like Jets? Because Jets were my close second.
I thought about them too. I did. I really thought about them too. I just don't know if they have enough to beat like Cincinnati or to beat like Kansas City. But I did think about them. They do have an outside shot. I was even kind of thinking about LA. I mean, the Chargers, but I don't believe in them at all because they blow 28-point leads. So
their defense is horrible too. Their second.
It is. And I don't want to see Kellen Moore in the Super Bowl. I just don't, because they won't let us live that down. If it goes,
who's your winner out of those two?
Who would have the winner out of those two?
Yeah.
Out of Buffalo and San Francisco. Out of those two, I would go with Buffalo.
That's actually a really good match, by the way. That's
only
funny.
because Josh Allen's a little more experienced than Brock Purdy, if we got to that point. And I would go with Buffalo over San Francisco in that Super Bowl.
And since Manny wants to talk about it, since I'm Googling it, might as well just answer the question. So Brock Purdy faced Miami, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Washington, Las Vegas, Arizona, Seattle again, Dallas, and got crushed by the.
You can't count the Eagles. Brock Purdy wasn't playing.
So no one really played in that game. So
the Dolphins was without Tua, by the way, too. So
even though Miami still has a good defense.
No. I'm just saying. Like,
and Seattle also had a good defense, and they had a good Geno Smith. And and it was actually high scoring.
You know, when you say that, that's funny that you're like, and they had Geno Smith. Like,
no, because what you're doing is you're trying to make a point of it. Oh, they only played against these teams and only that team. It was just this team. It's what you do, and it's what you do, and it's understandable. But
your defense wins a lot of games. We can both admit that.
I don't know. Let me see the score. Let me see the amount of points that they scored.
I was say that. What were the point totals in those games? If they were close, then I mean,
okay. So here we go. So we'll start with the Dolphins. 33-17, 35-7, 21-13.
No, you gotta say the teams. You can't just
fine. Miami 37-17. Tampa Bay
they suck.
With Brady 35-7. Seattle 21-13. Washington 37-20. Vegas 37-34, Arizona 38-13, Seattle in the playoffs 41-23. Cowboys, actually, you guys should know that. What was the score on that?
All right, you're attacking Mike for no reason.
I know what I do to you, man.
Yeah.
You know,
it all started in the 7th grade. No. No.
You attacked Mike for no reason. You got a stray bullet.
I know, right? Gotta watch out.
Says the person that picked the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl, but okay. We'll go with that, Manny.
I low key did too, though. I
know you did. But you know what? Here's what I'll admit. I will admit that there was only 3 teams that could probably make it in the NFC this year. The Cowboys is going to be one of them. San Francisco is going to be the second one, and
the Eagles.
Probably
the Eagles 3, and for some reason in a close 4th, maybe not close 4th, but the 4th I can actually see the Saints.
I knew you were gonna say it. I was like, say it.
I can see the Saints getting in, but I mean that's a good defense. That's a good defense, but yeah. MVP predictions. What do we got?
MVP of the league? Well, I kind of in our AFC East show, I told you that I thought that Lamar Jackson was going to be the MVP. Or you mean the MVP of the Super Bowl?
League? Entire league.
Entire league. Yeah. So I said in our AFC our AFC North show that I thought Lamar Jackson was going to be the MVP of the league. I'm not going to switch it up now. I just feel like he does so much for that team, and I do think that Baltimore will have a good season. So I think the stats and the touchdowns and all that will add up, and I think he'll have some electric plays that no one else is capable of making, only Lamar Jackson, maybe Anthony Richardson, but he won't have the kind of wins, and he'll be nowhere near an MVP. But I think Lamar Jackson will be the MVP this year. At least that's where I'm planting my flag. So not going to change it. I'm going to keep with Lamar Jackson. I think he will be the MVP, and he'll be a 2-time MVP, and I think that'll be what happens.
Manny, MVP.
So the two picks that most people are going to pick are Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. But I'm going to go a little further because in the betting odds are Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, the two favorites. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers brings the Jets to the playoffs with a good record and actually, you see some vintage Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he won back-to-back a couple years ago, so why not?
It's a good pick.
That's more for like odds for betting purposes.
Right. No, it's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Lamar Jackson, but also based on betting wise too, I would also keep my eye on Justin Herbert.
That's crazy that you said that for betting odds. For you guys have Lamar. Lamar and Aaron Rodgers are the same, plus 1,600. Justin Herbert.
Fine then. Bring on Lamar Jackson. I'll pay it. But I feel that Lamar is like my rightful answer. If he can pretty much come back from everything that he's done last year with one of the worst passing teams attempt wise to now having a squad as far as good pass catching and still do his running, like Baltimore is going to be unstoppable. So there's that. And I talked to you guys about it before. My dark horse in Justin Herbert. If Kellen Moore, I wanted to trigger someone. It was going to be Manny. If Kellen Moore continues with the passing attack that he did in Dallas, with everyone that he has there, from Gerald Everett, to Mike Williams, to Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, and even Austin Eckler practically playing the Tony Pollard role. If he has all that together and is able to succeed, then yes, Justin Herbert's going to be an MVP for the first time.
That would mean that the Chargers have to be probably have to win that division, in my opinion, for him to win MVP.
Well, who's last place right now?
It's 1 week. It's 1 week, but I see what you're saying.
It's a start. It's a start, but yeah. But I get what you're saying though. What, Manny?
Nothing. I ain't bringing it up.
What?
Nothing.
What are you not bringing up? What are you not bringing up?
Nothing. I don't want to talk about it.
You don't?
Nope.
You don't want to talk about it? What don't you want to talk about?
Look at him. He's being
what are you talking about?
He still owes us, Mike.
Go ahead, bro.
I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, that Detroit area, man, you must be on some BS out there. I don't know what you're talking about. But that being said, the bet's done. Anyway, so with this week's show, that's really generally about it. Like I said, we're going to try to keep it shorter this year. But we promise nothing, because we don't really make promises here on the show. But that's pretty much the gist of the end of the episode. Do you guys have anything else that you guys want to talk about real quick before we head out?
Yeah, let me just read off. You made me do all this research about who I like and dislike. We didn't even bring it up, so I'm gonna just.
It was the interns, but go ahead.
Yeah, the interns. Okay, so I like Geno Smith against the Rams. I like Tua against the Chargers. We talked about how bad Tua Chargers are secondary. I like Chris Olave. I like Tyreek Hill. If you want to do the stack, if you're in DFS, you could do Tua and Tyreek Hill. I like J.K. Dobbs against Houston. They suck.
Dobbins,
Alexander Madison against who are they playing? The Vikings. They're a high favorite. Bucks.
You were talking crap about Alexander Madison, so you're
but if you look at the draft picks to score a touchdown, he's like the 5th highest. I do what I like based on bets. I like Jake Ferguson. Will was trying to question me why I like him. Giants can't cover the tight end, and Dak loves the tight end.
Yep. Jake's a beast.
Mm-hmm. And Tyler Higbee, as we said before. My dislikes: Danny Dimes, because Cowboys defense is amazing. Brock Purdy, because the Steelers defense is real, so this is going to prove it to me type thing. I'm not going to start him. Fair. JSN, because he's coming off that injury, and he's a 3rd wide receiver, rookie wide receiver. And you see what they did with Jamar Gibbs. They're going to kind of ease him in. Scary Terry, another reason, coming off the injury. I think he will play, but it will be more of a decoy. Jahan Dotson is a great play.
Actually, I'm curious. Do you think JSN is going to play?
Yeah, he's going to play.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Scary Terry, look for Jahan Dotson. Good play. Kenneth Walker had a groin injury, was put on the list. He got taken off, but it's a groin injury that he's been dealing with all summer. So Zach Champagne will probably be, doing really well against the Rams. The Rams can't rush defense is horrible. Ramondre Stevenson, another one that just popped up on the injury report, but he was sick. But again, with the Patriots, Zeke knows the Eagles, how the Eagles play. They might play him a little bit more than usual with Ramondre Stevenson being sick. So be careful with him. And any tight ends. I didn't do research on tight ends, but I just wanted I did all my work to do this. So I wanted to just quickly list it.
Manny doing work. But just as a quick, I think you already said it, but Kenneth Walker was his designation is officially off. He's no longer. Right. Yeah, he's no longer on there, but he should be playing. I have a little bit of Kenny Walker, so I'm hoping that he actually does enough.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, because they're playing the Rams and they're going to be up if they don't limit him.
There you go. Charbonnet Day. Mike, anything you want to add?
I'll give you guys quickly who I like and don't like real fast. I believe I said that I liked Jamal Williams. A lot of people think that's crazy. I know the Tennessee defense is ferocious, but there's nobody else there. I mean, Kamara's not playing. Keandre, the rookie, I can't think of his name. Yeah, I think he's.
Oh, I said Quentin.
Oh, no, you're good. But yeah, he's not playing because he's dealing with an injury. So just for volume purposes, I like Jamal Williams. I think he'll be able to get you a touchdown. And sometimes in fantasy, that's all you need. They get you a touchdown. That's a decent play. I also liked, who else did I like? Help me out here. I like Gino. I liked Gino. I think Gino is playing the Rams, as Manny already stated. The Rams, they lost like 5 players on defense. They lost Ramsey. They lost Wagner. They're pretty much just playing with like the remains of a decent defense. I think Gino's going to just pick them apart. So I think Gino will definitely be a QB1 this week. I really like him. And then to show you how much I like Gino, I also like Tyler Lockett. I like him against the Rams this week. I think he is the more consistent of the two pass catchers, the two main pass catchers in Seattle. And and like Manny also mentioned, JSN is hurt. So I think Tyler Lockett has the potential to go off and give you a lot of points. And he went off against the Rams twice last year. He scored a lot of points against them. He seems to like playing against the Rams. So I think he's a good guy to get.
And they lost their corner, Jalen Ramsey.
Yes. So he's going to eat. Players I would sit or players I don't like. I'm not really big on Deion Jackson. I understand if you're playing Deion Jackson, you probably don't have running backs and you probably don't have a choice. But Scott. I don't really think
Scott.
Yeah. like Scott, perhaps.
We don't mean to. We're sorry, Scott. Well, at least I'm sorry. I don't know about Manny. He's been talking shit like this whole episode. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm personally sorry. That just like that slipped.
Right.
It was like word vomit. You said no running back.
Come to town. I'll get you a drink. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
For real, man. Scott's taking hits tonight. But yeah, Deion Jackson, I'm not a big fan of. He's better at pass catcher than runner, but you have Evan Hull there who's going to also get some carries, and I do think that Anthony Richardson will probably be running more than any of them. So I really wouldn't invest anything on Deion Jackson. And there was one more person I didn't like.
You also, I'm looking at it now. You also didn't like Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Daniel Jones. And for the exact same reasons that Manny mentioned. Well, first of all, I just don't think he's that good. I don't. We had 15 touchdowns last year, and people are acting like he set the world on fire. Like 15, there's more games than touchdowns he had. Just 17 games.
He has the perfect coach.
So
maybe not the perfect coach, but he has a really good coach in Drabble.
Right. So I'm not sold on his ability. He doesn't have great receivers. He has a tight end, but that's about it. Saquon Barkley is a beast, but the Dallas defense is going to be all over the Giants. Our pass rush is going to be all over Daniel Jones. I mean, he might get sacked 6 times that game. I don't know. So I really wouldn't want any parts of Daniel Jones. If you have him, please start someone else, because this would not be the kind of week that you want to start Daniel Jones. He might give you some points running the ball, but I don't even think our defense is going to allow him to do that. So I would fade Daniel Jones and go another route this week.
You said Juju too.
Yeah, and Juju. Thank you. Juju Smith-Schuster is also somebody else that I would sit, because I just don't like Mac Jones. It has kind of more to do with Mac Jones than it does with Juju. But also they're playing Philadelphia, who has a really good defense. They have 2 really good corners, and Juju was like ranked really low last year. I mean, it's not like he really had a great year last year. So coming into New England, where I think they're going to run the ball with Ramondre and Zeke, still got Bourne over there. I mean, they kind of have like a hodgepodge of receivers, so I don't think any of them will really do anything this year. So that's a name that in the past you could kind of rely on. Okay, Juju Smith-Schuster, but don't be one of those fantasy managers to rely on a name and just pick him up and think he's going to do something, because I don't see it happening. Not week 1.
I'll never trust Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm sorry. Never have, never will. Let me see if I can remember some of the players I picked up.
I got you. You got
Sam. So I got it here. Okay. So I'll do something that you guys didn't talk about already. I like Sam Howell. Sam Howell playing against the Cardinals, the very, very weak Cardinals. And don't get me wrong, the Commanders are just as weak, just as bad. However, just like I posted earlier this week for our waiver wire article, which you can find on Instagram, Next Up Fantasy. Generally, the attack that we're doing is not exactly the player, but more so the actual team itself. If Arizona is going to be trash and one of the worst teams in the league, then whoever is playing against them, whoever's playing against Arizona, you take advantage of that. You do the best you can, even if they're mediocre. If it's Baker Mayfield playing against them, you're going to take advantage of that and start probably Baker if you're on a bye week, and like level up Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Just a little example. Did say Jamal Williams, Alexander Madison, J.K. Dobbins. We already talked about Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Chris Godwin. Actually, I do like, because I feel that Godwin does have to. They have to do something against the Commanders. Commanders actually do have a. Actually, no, that's. I'm sorry, they're not. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're playing against the Vikings.
The Vikings.
I simply just don't think Mike Evans is going to be able to do Mike Evans things. He's had 1,000+ yards every single year in his career. It's probably going to be to a stop this year. Chris Godwin, who both Godwin and Evans might not even be a Buccaneer at the end of this year. We'll see around Halloween to see if that happens. But if they're going to show somebody off, I think they should show off more Chris Godwin versus Mike Evans. In that case, and Tyler Higbee we already talked about because of no Cooper Kupp. Jason Ferguson, is it Jason or Jake?
Jake, right? I think it's Jake.
It's not that I don't care. It's just that I literally wrote down Jason, so that's on me.
You know, the disrespect out of Ferguson out of you is just, you questioned the crap out of me when I said him.
I literally said why,
and then
I literally said why.
That man is a beast. There was a game last year we straight up hurdled somebody. What game was that? I think it was the Vikings, where we're just destroying them in every facet of the game. This man hurdled someone. I mean, he's really, really athletic for his size, and I think Jake Ferguson is gonna set the world on fire. I really do. I think he's way better than Dalton Schultz. So if you like,
my response, I remember my response was to him, like, so the targets is not going to be 100% fully, or the targets that went to Schultz is not going to go to. Is it going to go to Ferguson, or is it going to go to Brandon Cooks? Because my only bar was with Dallas last year. They didn't really have a good number 2. They have a more acceptable number 2 in Brandon Cooks, a more reliable number 2. And not to say that Jason Ferguson isn't going to do it, but if Dak has trust in Brandon Cooks early on, then Jake Ferguson might not get as much of the tight end targets from last year this year.
See, I think Dak has more faith in Ferguson than he does in Cook.
If it happens, then by all means let it happen. But I'm just kind of thinking of it in a different direction. That's all. Like a devil advocate per se.
Dak likes his tight ends in the red zone, and without Zeke now, it's gonna be. I could see Ferguson scoring a lot.
Yeah, and on top of that, I can see Dallas. Since we're talking about Dallas, I can see Dallas passing more. Period. And that's generally because, like, no offense to Tony Pollard, who we all love here, and as well as Deuce Vaughn, Malik Davis got cut, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not built to run like heavy. They're not built to run like they have been in the past. So they don't have anyone similar to Zeke. They haven't picked up Leonard Fournette yet. So because of that, they
got a little dude named Rico Dowdle who can run a little bit.
I was about to say Rico Dowdle is
a little bit between the tackles.
But he's Ronald Jones comes.
But he's not. But is he still? But like, can he replace? Like, definitely not a Zeke, but can he replace anybody really? as far as being a bruiser, I don't think so.
He's lucky to get 5 touches a game.
Yeah. So simply, my point was, like, Dallas is made more for passing this year. So there's going to be more. So in theory, because of who Dak has surrounded by him, in theory, pretty much every pass catcher is going to be decent. But like I said, I still just had questions about Ferguson. That's all I was saying with Manny. Not questioning it, but just curious to hear his logic. And the
players Hunter Luepke, you don't even know. You don't know what Hunter Luepke about to do to these boys.
I'm trying to figure it out. And the last person I had was Gerald Everett. Like I said, it's going back to the passing attack that is hopefully going to happen in Los Angeles. So if there's any, and Justin Herbert doesn't have an issue with going to tight ends. So Gerald Everett has always been a decent player. So he could continue that for the Chargers. So now that's the show. Okay, maybe we should do it that way. Like, in the end, we'll say who we like and who we don't like for each week, and then just go from there. But we'll still have the interns do their thing on the weekends. So that being said, for Mike, what up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Fun as always. I'm so hyped about week 1. I can't wait to get back on there next week and talk about how we just destroyed New York. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And if not, I'm going to come and, put it in the comments and I'll take the heat. I said what I said and it didn't happen, but I know it's going to. So just enjoy week 1, everyone. Be safe, and hopefully your team wins. We can't all win, though, so hopefully you're on the right side.
For Manny B and Manny.
Good luck, everyone, in your fantasy leagues. We are excited for week 1, except Dre, you're going down. You're losing this week. Mike, I'm excited that you're out of the closet and actually on a football field today. So I appreciate that. Look at you.
My man's at SoFi.
I made it.
It's your boy, Will. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good afternoon whenever you guys are watching, whenever you guys are listening. Week 1 is here. We'll see you guys next week. There's the camera. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.